Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Crafting with Holly. In this episode, I want to talk about bashing your stash and using some products from your stash with new products. And we are in the heart of this bi-monthly catalog, the January-February book. And I wanted to share with you some things that I'm using that are new, such as the Troop Life Stampin' Thin Cut right here, as well as the Boy Scout and Girl Scout with some of my older products. And I'm all about consuming and really maximizing the products that I have currently with some new products. And that's what I want to share with you today in this episode. So let's get started. I have a girlfriend that has a daughter that grew up with my daughter, and she has some pictures featuring her daughter as a Girl Scout. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take the stamp of the month, which happens to be this beautiful set, Say It With Flowers, and I'm going to mix it with the Troop Life and this Girl Scout set, which is so awesome. And these are available through the end of February, so grab them before they sell out. And then I wanted to take this idea from the Make It From Your Heart, Volume 6, Pattern 11, which features only 2 photos, but I'm going to use flip flaps to kind of extend the life of this. And I want to share with you how you can take an old picture and put it here, and then take a new picture and put it here. So I'm going to move this out of the way so that I can see what I'm doing. Hopefully that doesn't move the camera too much. And these are the pictures that I'm going to be using. So this is a picture that she has of someone from 1955-56 as a Girl Scout, which I thought was so fabulous. And then these are the pictures of her daughter right here. And I'm going to use some flip flaps to showcase these 3 pictures that she has when she is graduating from her brownie troop. So I'm going to set those off to the side. And I just loved using this Troop Life stamp right here. It was a perfect title. And then I loved being able to just take that little Girl Scout set, stamp it on a circle, and then stick it onto one of our previous thin cuts, which was this beautiful scallop stitched thin cut. And then I'm going to take some images from the Say It With Flowers February stamp of the month, which has a thin cut option, and we're going to just decorate them. And if you haven't seen any of my other videos, I will make sure that I put them in the comments below. But one of the weeks in February, I'm sharing how to color with not only the inks, but also with the shimmer brushes. And there's 4 key ways that I'm sharing how to use this Stampin' Thin Cut. And this is just one of them. And I just love the dimension that our inks give, but also the shimmer that our shimmer brushes give when you just add a little bit of color to the center of these images. So that's what those are all about. So I'm going to go ahead and make this together with you. It's a 2-page layout, featured again, like I said, in the Make It From Your Heart, Volume 6, and it's Pattern 11. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the left page, and I'm just going to take all of these clusters and set them off to the side. And I'm using the Backyard Bliss paper collection that retired quite a while ago, but I had just enough pieces left over, so I wanted to just maximize them. So we're going to start with the pine cardstock, and it is 1 inch in from the left side, and it's it is 1 inch from the top. And I realized that when I was putting these narrow 1 inch pieces, they're 1 by 9 inches, that they didn't fit. So I had to kind of adjust the pine cardstock. And then I realized that I should have put those 2 narrow strips on first and then put the pine cardstock on after. So I'm just adjusting them and lining them up on my Versamat. And I am now ready to attach the photo. And I'm going to be careful because I know my girlfriend's going to want to put some information from these photos onto her journaling. And so I want to make sure that the photo can be lifted from this peach cardstock if necessary. So I'm lining up the double mat that I created with linen cardstock. And then I'm attaching the photo and then attaching these mats onto the peach cardstock. And And I'm using the dark side of the peach cardstock for the largest mat, which is 5x7. And now these are my leftover pieces from the Backyard Bliss that I'm going to piece together because I didn't have a full piece to make what was necessary from this pattern. And that's what I love, is being able to take pieces and scraps that you have and fit them together like a puzzle. And I'm using my all-purpose mat to get that adhesive onto those narrow strips. And then I'm lining those up with that piece that I had to cut because it wasn't in the right direction. And now I'm just lining those up so that these look continual underneath the photo mat. And you'll never know that I had to cut it in half in order to make it stretch and fit onto this page. And I love that about being able to use up all my scraps. And this Backyard Bliss paper was perfect. So I'm just refilling my adhesive now. It just seems like every time I go to create a layout, I'm getting low on adhesive. So at least you get to see how easy the Close to My Heart tape runner is to reload. And then I'm attaching this piece, which is piece C, and it's 3.5 inches from the top and it's 1/2 inch from the side. And again, I'm just using my Versamat to line that up. And now I've got to try and get this other piece to line up as well. And so I'm going to bring in my T-square ruler to help me. Just use it as a guide. I love this ruler. If you don't have it, you're going to want to grab it. It works so perfectly with our Versamat. So I'm just laying this down and then I'm lining it up perfectly to match that other piece. And now I'm ready to attach that 5x7, which is really a 4x6 onto a 5x7 mat. And that one is coming in 1 inch from the side of that chicken wire paper, I guess is what you'd call it. And then here are my clusters from the February stamp of the month that I'm using foam tape to attach. And I just love how that shimmer brush gives it a little bit of sparkle. And then I'm attaching some of the clear sparkles to the center of those flowers. And now I'm going to take the Girl Troop or the Girl Scout stamp and add foam tape to the white cardstock, and then we're going to mount that onto the Sage scalloped circle thin cut. And even though it's retired, I still love being able to go back into my stash and using products that are retired just to accent. So always feel free to go back into your stash and see what you've got that you can work with. And then again, I'm just adding these clusters of flowers down at the bottom of the page to create that visual triangle. And then using some foam tape, and I'm putting those around the 5x7 photo mat. And then again, adding those little clear sparkles to the centers of those flowers. It just gives it that little added touch. And we are now ready to move on to the right page. So I'm just going to line these pieces up, get all those clusters off to the side. That's the journaling area. And I'm going to attach just a little bit of adhesive to the center of this and then attach it to the Versamat. It just helps to keep it in place, and then I'm not always fussing to get that lined up. And again, I'm attaching these two pieces, and this time I decide to attach the pine cardstock after. And then sadly, I cut this piece too short, so there is a little bit of a gap, but I'm okay with it. I'll go back and I'll probably add either a piece of shimmer paper, or I'll go find another scrap and try and piece that together. I'm not sure what happened there, but it was the right size when I started out. So now I'm going to attach the journaling piece, and this is 1/2 inch from the right side of the pine cardstock and 5/8 inch from the bottom. And then I had some leftover scraps, and I wanted to kind of make that journaling area a little bit more narrow than what it was in the instructions. And so I'm just taking again some scraps from the Backyard Bliss paper and attaching those down at the top and the bottom. And then I'm using the Remember This Moment stamp set, which I'm going to miss when this is gone because it's just been so perfect to use on my journaling pieces. And that's where the Remember This Moment came from. And I stamped that in the pine ink. So just finishing up those last pieces, and now I'm going to attach the peach photo mat, and that goes 1.5 inches from the left, and it's 1 3/4 of an inch from the top of the pine cardstock. So it's just slightly overlapping that journaling piece. And then I'm gonna wait and put those pictures of my girlfriend's daughter on last because I wanna make sure that she sees those first before I secure them down. And I will be using a flip flap for those extra photos. So now I'm just taking the rest of these flowers and attaching those to the bottom of this photo mat. And then I'm gonna walk you through, once I attach these clear sparkles, I'm gonna walk you through how to color this one in. So I'm taking the peach ink, I'm squeezing it in the center, I'm using a water brush, and I've got my shimmer brushes on that fabulous tool, that little caddy. And then I'm just pulling ink from the inside of the lid with the water brush and using that to color in all of these flowers with peach. It just creates a very soft and subtle look to your flowers. And there's a little bit of alcohol in my water brush just to help it blend and make it the ink smoother. So now I'm using the the Seabrook shimmer brush now to color in all of the leaves. And it's just so soft. I realized in creating this artwork this month that sage was just a little too dark, but Seabrook was the perfect base to use first. And then I'm going to go back over with the sage shimmer brush and I'm going to accent on the inside of those lines. And you'll see what a difference how light those are. But first I'm going to use the peach shimmer brush to color in the center of these flowers. And I just love how smooth these fine tip brushes are on these shimmer brushes. So if you haven't been coloring with the shimmer brushes, I would encourage you to get these out and play with them. They're so easy to use and blend together with our ink pads. And then this is the sage that I'm using to just accent the inside of these leaves, and it just creates that little bit of depth that it needs to make these flowers just pop and come to life. And they go on so smoothly. You really do not need to have a lot of ink on your brushes in order for these to work. And that's what I love about them. And I'm just storing them in my caddy, and look at how beautiful that turned out. So now I'm gonna just take some foam tape. Oh, actually I'm gonna put the sparkles on first in the center of these flowers, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take some foam tape to pop that up. And then it's just gonna go in the top right quadrant of my journaling block, and that finishes my visual triangle. And then there are the pictures that I'll be using with flip flaps. And there we are, we've got 2 beautiful pages now featuring the Troop Life Stampin' Thin Cut and the February Stamp of the Month, Say It With Flowers. Don't forget, remember to click that like button, comment below, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for joining me today.